Welcome to another episode of the All It Takes No Whiffs podcast. We got another great episode this week. Just going to be a boxing episode. We previewed the ALDS and the NLDS earlier this week, and now we got an epic week of boxing, so we wanted to preview that too. But before we get started, make sure y'all like, make sure y'all subscribe, and make sure you turn on notifications to know that when we post new content.
Yeah, for boxing this week, we've got an insane weekend coming up. A little bit long overdue with this one card. Shields versus Marshall and Baumgarner versus Mayer. That's this weekend, finally. Should have been last month, but all good. And then you got Deontay Wilder making his return to the ring with Caleb Plant on the undercard. And you also got Devin Haney versus George Kambosos, their rematch coming up. That's going to be exciting. That's probably what I'm looking forward to the most. With these fights headlining the weekend and a few solid undercard fights surrounding it, it's a great weekend for boxing, something that I feel like we haven't had in some time now. So let's get it. October 15th, insane weekend of boxing coming up. Probably one of the headlining weekends of the year for boxing. I mentioned it in the intro, long overdue with this first card. But it's weird because I personally feel like we should have got the fight that weekend, but I'm not going to complain. I know they're doing what they got to do, but it's here now, October 15th. You got the double headliner of Claressa Shields versus Savannah Marshall. That's going to be an insane middleweight title fight. And then you got Mikaela Mayer versus Alycia Baumgarner. That's the co-main event. And before I get into the second one, Claressa Shields versus Savannah Marshall. This is just one of the biggest fights in the year, regardless of gender. In all of boxing, this is insane. Claressa Shields is one of the best fighters in the world. And Savannah Marshall, somebody who she has a little bit of history with, somebody who has an opposing style that I feel like will make for a very entertaining fight. And it's here. Should have got it last month, but we're all good. It's luckily they pushed it back relatively close to the initial fight date, so no big deal. Just a couple extra weeks of buildup. And before I give my thoughts on it, I want to see what you think about it, Alex.
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to this card in general. This I think is one of the first all women's card that there's ever been, which is something historical. But this fight right here, I'm really looking forward to. Like Christian said, got pushed back due to the death of Queen Elizabeth last month, but it's finally here and I'm ready for it. And I'm pretty much gonna have my same kind of like preview and prediction that we did last time. I still think that Claressa Shields is gonna win this fight. Claressa Shields is just a very good technical boxer. Her defense is unreal. She has super quick hands, and her ring IQ around the ring is just super, super good. So I think that's one advantage that she's gonna have over Savannah Marshall. And the thing with Savannah Marshall is she has got some power and she has got some pop to her. I mean, 10 knockouts in 12 fights, it's pretty impressive. Usually really don't see that on the women's sides. They usually go the distance, and I think that Savannah Marshall is going to be able to land some shots on Shields. It's the thing is I want to see how Shields reacts to that first one, that first power punch, because she's never really been hit before. And she's never really been hit with a lot of power. So someone with power like this, I'm kind of interested to see how she's going to react to it and if it affects her at all. And if she not goes to a different game plan, if she gets a little hurt. But I just kind of want to see how she reacts to a big punch.
Yeah, man, I honestly feel like you're spot on with it. I agree that I personally favor Shields in this matchup when it comes to styles. And I also agree with your point that Marshall, crazy power. I feel like Marshall is going to be the toughest opponent in Claressa Shields' professional career so far. An opponent that she has some history with in the amateurs, with Marshall taking the victory back then. And I feel like this fight is really personal. Styles aside, it's about to be fireworks because, yeah, I feel like these two genuinely dislike each other, considering that history. I know Shields, she's the goals she has in mind, considers herself the greatest of all time already. And wants to solidify that. So she definitely wants to make up for a hiccup in any point of her career, even if it's amateur. But this is about to make for history right here, to be honest with you, because Claressa Shields, I genuinely, as loud as her talk is, she definitely backs it up in my opinion. She's confident, and you got to give credit where it's due because she's undefeated right now. She does what she has to do in the ring, and she's by far the best women's boxer in my opinion right now. So I feel like I'm just really looking forward to this. I just I want to give my prediction real quick, Alex. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Do you wanna give any thoughts before I say this?
The only thing I really want to say before we give our predictions is that you talking about Savannah Marshall beating Claressa Shields in amateurs. That's Claressa Shields' only loss throughout amateurs, her entire professional career. So that's definitely something that she's gonna be, or something that's gonna be in the back of her head, I feel like. And this fight, she definitely wants to come out on top. But now that I got that a little out of the way, how do you think this fight's gonna end then?
All right, this is a little bit like of a spur of the moment opinion, and it's gonna kind of be hot just because when I was thinking about the point of this being personal, I think Claressa Shields is gonna stop Savannah Marshall late with her 2 knockouts on her resume. It's about to be 3 because it's just that personal. I think she's gonna show that there's levels. I think she's gonna outskill her for sure, but then I think she's gonna put it on her. I think she's gonna put these hands, well, not these hands. I think she's gonna put those hands on her, and she's about to do her thing. I feel like we're about to get a round 9 stoppage for Claressa Shields, and I know it's not in my favor. We see her record, but round 9 stoppage. I don't know what I'm doing, but let's go.
Hey, no. I mean, that's bold. I like it. I mean, she's only got 2 knockouts. Could get her third. Going up against a knockout artist too. So we'll see. But I'm not in the same boat as you. I do think she's gonna win, but I think it'll be on points. I think that she'll probably not win it so easily on points, maybe by like a round or two, just because Savannah Marshall is a pretty good boxer still. Don't want to discredit her, but I think Claressa Shields will win this on points. Not easily, but pretty handily though.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. That would be my prediction if I wasn't full sending it right here for some reason. I just decided on the spot. I was like, Shields probably hates this lady. I think she's gonna want to do something to her, and if it weren't for that, I would definitely be going with decision too. Honestly, that's my backup prediction because it's it makes sense. I feel like that's the outcome that makes the most sense considering how the consensus really is that Claressa Shields is the superior boxer, but 2 knockouts out of 12 fights. That's yeah, she's probably gonna take it 10 rounds, but hopefully she stops it in the ninth. I'm
Oh,
I,
true.
I'll put some bread on it. Nah, nah.
Hey, if I was to put money on it, I probably would go with mine, my
Yeah,
prediction instead.
yeah.
Hey, but yours would probably make you a pretty penny. So
It would in an alternate universe because that's probably not gonna happen.
I don't know, that's true. That's true. But moving on, go to the co-main event of this card. This is going to be another great fight too, and we have Mikaela Mayer versus Alycia Baumgarner. Christian, what do you think about this fight?
Another very solid fight. I don't think it has the same magnitude in the sense of history, I guess, as the co-main event, but this is still going to be top quality boxing for sure. And another fight that mixes up well styles wise. I feel like Mayer is kind of in the same situation as Claressa Shields, probably the better boxer technically. She does have, I will say, physical advantages over Bumgarner for sure, being taller and having a better reach. Um, with that being said, Alycia Baumgarner, she hits hard. She throws punches with intent a lot, and this is another interesting matchup for me because I feel like Mayer hasn't ever been tested like too much, and I think Alycia Baumgarner is the one that's gonna show it. Like she's either going to bring the dog out of Mayer or show Mayer as the puppy that she is. I'm playing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I see what you're saying, but this is the fight I'm actually looking forward to more than Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall. I think this is a huge test for Mikaela Mayer. A lot of people I wouldn't say think she's overrated, but just doesn't think she's as good as she is, and we're gonna see if that's true this weekend. Like you just said, she's never been tested. She's never really been hit, and like I said with Claressa Shields, I want to see how she reacts to a big hit. She's never really been hit, and that's gonna happen in this fight. I mean, there's no avoiding that, and I'm just really curious to see how this fight is gonna end up because, to be honest, I still haven't even made up my mind on who's gonna win this fight. So, Christian, what do you think?
My gut tells me Mikaela Mayer, but my bias tells me Alycia Baumgarner. I'm a little more of a fan of Alycia Baumgarner, so I'm gonna go the support the homie route, and I'm gonna pick Alycia Baumgarner. I'm gonna go with another late round stoppage. I think Mikaela Mayer. I know I kind of sound like one of those people you described, Alex, but I just don't really think she's as good as advertised. I do think she's a good boxer, but
That's exactly to my point.
yeah, this is the fight I was waiting for sure, and it's like I could definitely see it being like a big test for Mayer, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to call it a test out of respect for Bumgarner because this damn near 50-50 in my opinion off the top of my head. But I'm gonna have to side with Alycia Baumgarner, late round stoppage, probably around. I'm gonna go with the last round, 10th round stoppage.
No, yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that, but I'm gonna be on, I think, the opposite end of you. I think that Mikaela Mayer will win this fight. It'll be another fight going the distance. So I think both the main events will be going the distance. And I think Mikaela Mayer will actually probably win this in a more convincing fashion than Claressa Shields will. So I think Mikaela Mayer is going to win this on points pretty easily. I would probably say 7 rounds to 3, maybe 8. I'm not going to give 8. No, that's too much.
Yeah, she's gonna win 8 rounds and then face plant in round 10. That's what I'm calling.
Hey, it's possible. It is
That's
possible.
boxing for you though. That's the crazy thing about boxing.
And
Yeah,
I mean, that leads us directly into this next guy too. I mean, this next guy we're talking about, I mean, he is one of the best knockout artists that we've seen, I don't know, the last 15, 20 years. I mean, this guy has 41 knockouts and 42 of his wins. And Deontay Wilder, the Bronze Bomber, is back, and I'm very excited to see him back in the ring because we honestly didn't know if Deontay Wilder was going to be back in the rings, but he is now, and he's going up against Robert Helenius. So, Christian, what do you think about this? Because this is honestly a pretty interesting fight. Robert Helenius is a lot better than people actually think.
yeah, definitely an interesting fight, especially for a comeback fight for Wilder. Went through his whole journey deciding if he was going to make a return or not. To be honest, the bag that he received from that trilogy against Fury, he doesn't have to return, but I guess he still has something to prove, and I respect it for sure. It's really exciting to see him back in the mix, but my only thing is I still have the question of can he improve his boxing ability? Because I'm still of the opinion that while he is one of the best knockout artists of our generation, if not the best, he's one dimensional, as is. And he may have shown a few moments in the third Fury fight that he can do a little something else, but it wasn't necessarily enough for me. But when it comes to an opponent like Robert Helenius, yeah, people don't give him credit for his actual ability. But I don't know. This might sound disrespectful. Just the sound of this guy's name, he sounds like a guy that would get knocked out by Deontay Wilder. It just makes sense almost. It's like his name is a magnet for the right hand. I feel like that right hand is inevitable and it's about to do damage. And all due respect to Helenius, fourth loss coming up, in my opinion. But before I get into the specifics, I want to hear some of your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so I think Helenius is a little better than you actually are giving him. His last two fights have both been knockouts in I think the fifth or sixth round, and I can't think of the guy's name right now, but the last fight was actually against one of the top heavyweight prospects. So it was actually a big win for him that probably got him this fight. So um, I think that Robert Helenius is probably gonna come out pretty strong for the first couple of rounds. I mean, we haven't seen Wilder in I think it's been a year now. He's gonna have a little ring rust. I don't think he's gonna be pure for the first couple rounds. So I definitely think that Helenius is probably gonna win the first couple rounds just because of the lack of activity that Wilder has had over the year. So um, but then when it gets to those middle rounds, I think Helenius is not going to want to be in the ring anymore.
Mhm.
It's probably going to end pretty quick too. I'm thinking this is going to be a pretty quick knockout, pretty brutal knockout to be honest too. I think Wilder wants to show us that he's back and he's for real. I read a couple articles and he wants to fight everybody. He wants to fight Ruiz. He wants to fight Joshua. He wants to fight Usyk. He wants to fight Fury. He wants them all. And if he can knock out Helenius in a pretty good fashion, I'm on for all of them. I would love to see it because I was kind of off Deontay Wilder for a while.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. He has definitely said a couple of things that, in my opinion, has, I don't want to say tarnished, but kind of changed the way I looked at him. The claims of cheating, I didn't respect it at all. I didn't respect the at the end of the trilogy, refusing to at least acknowledge Tyson Fury for the fight, for the trilogy that they just went through against each other. Uh, but at the end of the day, I know, like, especially that's like a in the moment thing. It was a decision in the moment. Maybe looking back, he was probably like, yeah, I could have done something. Even if he doesn't feel like that, still something in the moment. I'm not going to judge him off of that too much, but at the same time, I feel like there's room to improve his image. I personally feel like he should come out and say, like, I was bugging out for these claims of cheating, because at the end of the day, uh, you lost 2 out of 3 of the fights, and regardless of that, though, Deontay Wilder is back, and it's dope to hear that he's in the mix, wanting to fight all these names, because it looked like he was at the twilight of his career already, but he's still around.
No, he is, and I hope that he definitely does what I think he's gonna do, and is able to fight these names. Because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really interested in a Wilder Fury fourth fight, but I would love to see a Wilder Joshua fight. That is definitely up there on my list for fights. I think that would be just one epic fight, and oh, I'm just getting chills thinking about that right now because I want to see that so bad. But before we move on, how do you think this is gonna end?
I'm gonna pay some homage to a trend that we had on this podcast not too long ago. I'm gonna call the round
Yes.
7 knockout. You said it. You mentioned it. Mid rounds is gonna get real ugly, and I think that at that point it's gonna be at its ugliest for Helenius, and by that I mean lightning quick left hand, a lightning quick right hand to the chin, and probably gonna, like you said, be really brutal. I don't want to get into, I guess, the specifics of how I think it'll look, but yeah, I'm expecting Helenius to not make it past the 10 count.
Yeah, I definitely think this is going to be a knockout too in Wilder's favor. I'm going to go a little earlier than you because I think Wilder will want to make more of a statement. So I'm going to go with a fifth round knockout.
Mhm.
And I'm the same boat as you. I don't think he'll get up from the 10 count. I think this is going to be a pretty brutal knockout, and I'm just excited to see Wilder back in the ring and hopefully be fighting all those big names we talked about earlier.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be dope to see him back in the ring. And speaking of seeing somebody who's been out of the ring for a while, you got Caleb Plant making his return against Anthony Durrell. this is going to be an interesting fight right here. Caleb Plant coming off of his loss versus Canelo Alvarez, which honestly was forever ago. Canelo has had 2 fights since then, but we won't talk about that. And Anthony Durrell coming off of a really quality knockout victory. It was off a beautiful uppercut. Honestly, kind of forgetting his opponent's name right now, but it was a quality win over a quality opponent. And Durrell showed that even though he's older now, definitely past his prime, he's still got the capabilities of, putting up a solid fight against some solid names. But I don't know. Caleb Plant is much closer to his prime. We haven't seen if he's declined from the Canelo fight yet. And this is another interesting matchup. I want to see what you think about this, Alex.
Yeah, so I think Durrell is definitely better than what people give him credit for too. Like you said, he's 37 years old, so he is a little past his prime. So I think that's going to be a kind of a big factor in this fight. I think if this fight was maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago for Durrell, that he would have a lot better chance. Not saying he doesn't have a chance. Every boxer has a chance, but I think he would have a lot better chance if he was a little younger because Caleb Plant's actually a really good boxer, and people don't, I wouldn't say really notice him, but he gets overshadowed by a bunch of these people in the middleweight division. So, or super middleweight division. So, this is going to be an interesting fight. I definitely think Caleb Plant is going to want to come out with some vengeance from that last fight against Canelo. It's his first fight in almost a year. So, there may be a little ring rust for him too. I don't really think that's going to be a factor in this fight for him. But, Christian, how do you think this fight's going to go?
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like age is about to be the main factor in this fight. I know Durrell looked relatively good in his last fight. Caleb Plant got stopped in his last fight, but when it comes to the ring rust, I like the point that you made because especially with Caleb's fighting style, um, I feel like at waist down at least, his legs are gonna be pretty good at least just with the way how he fights. I'm not expecting an issue with ring rust on that aspect. Maybe landing his shots and setting it up, but even then, he's going to have a clear speed advantage against Durrell, in my opinion. And I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of only see this going one way, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself with my prediction. How do you feel like this fight's going to go, though?
Um, I'm I have a feeling this is going to be probably a pretty dominant fight by Caleb Plant. It's what I want to see from him too, because both of these guys, if they either one of them win this fight, they're back in title contention, or for contending for a title. So, I think Caleb Plant's going to want to come out. He's going to want to put on a show, and I think he's going to honestly get this done not early, but middle, halfway through the fight. I would probably say around the sixth, seventh round. I think that he's gonna finish this fight.
Ooh, I wasn't expecting a stoppage for Caleb Plant. I was gonna say when I say one way, I meant points for Caleb Plant. I just feel like Caleb Plant's fighting style. He doesn't necessarily put too much power behind his punches, and Durrell is. I know he's older now, but it's not like he's a glass chin type of guy to the point that a right hand out of the Philly shell is about to put him down. So I feel like Caleb Plant is going to follow the game plan to a T. And like you said, dominant fashion, borderline, like a near flawless performance for Caleb Plant for a decision. That's what I think is going to happen. And
No,
the reason I want, my bad.
no, you're good.
And the reason I want that to happen, my fanboy might be coming out here a little. A win for Caleb Plant just ages Canelo's win over him a little better. That's all I'm going to say.
No, yeah, it definitely does look better. But I mean, this is going to be a really good fight. I think it's going to be an underrated fight. It's the co-main event for the Deontay Wilder card. It's going to be a really good fight, and I'm looking forward to it. Caleb Plant back. Both guys for that are back after about a year off, so it'll be nice to see them back in. Hopefully, both of them can get a dub and get back into title contention. But To move on to the last fight we're talking about, this is a rematch, and if I'm gonna be quite honest with you, I do not think that this fight will be any different than the first time around. If anything, I think it'll be even more dominant in Devin Haney's corner. So Christian, there's not really much to talk about this fight. So what do you think about?
Hey man, you put it exactly how it's gonna go. You're basically predicting the future at this point because this is a guarantee. It's about to be. It's almost gonna look like a replay of the last fight. Either that, or like you said, even worse because Haney's young, only getting better. Kambosos, I guess he's in his prime age wise, and if you want to say physically too, but I just don't think there's much more room for improvement on Kambosos' side. But at the same time, there's a slim chance I feel like if Kambosos comes through with a better game plan, he can make it more competitive. But even then, I feel like Haney would probably win the same amount of rounds in just a more entertaining fight in that case. So I feel like, all right, I feel like I could say that for sure. This for sure for this one. I think there's only one outcome for this one, and I'm hoping I'm not going to get surprised this time. Want to give me your official prediction, Alex?
Yeah, Haney knockout in the first round. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, but yeah, this fight, I definitely see it like we both have said, going the distance. This fight, I don't see either of these guys knocking each other out. Devin Haney is so good defensively. Shots just don't land on him. I think last fight it was 25% and to 24% punches landed throughout the entire fight for each guy. Haney had 25 and Kambosos had 24. So it's gonna be probably another pretty boring fight. But if you're a real boxing fan, it's gonna be a great. It's actually gonna be a great fight.
From a purist standpoint, Haney's probably going to put up a performance that he's boxing circles around Kambosos. But I'm going to be honest with you, even some diehard boxing fans, they be snoozing during Haney fights. But that's for another story. That's not my opinion on it. I've seen that thought put out there, and hopefully Haney could change up the narrative this fight. Honestly, even though I'm calling a decision for Haney, I would love to see him get a stoppage. That'd be dope, honestly, especially for what everybody thinks is a waste of time for a fight. Exceed our expectations. That'd be dope to me. But I don't know. I feel like he's about to jab his head off like the first fight, win about 10 to 12 rounds.
Yeah, that jab's gonna be real nice for him again, like it was in the last fight. I can tell you that. But yeah, this is definitely gonna be a great fight. This is in Australia. Kambosos is his home country, so same with the last fight. Don't think that's really going to have any factor into it because it definitely didn't last time. It was very quiet at the end of the fight.
She was dead.
Yeah, it was very dead. But before we get on out of here, there's two more fights on this card that are pretty decent. Christian, do you want to maybe talk about it for a second?
Honestly, the fights themselves ain't too crazy to mention, but there's a set of brothers. They are fighting this weekend. You got Jason Maloney and Andrew Maloney making their returns to the ring. Um, I'm not even too well versed on their careers. I'm not too big on them from what I've seen, if I'm going to be honest with you. I just recall Jason Maloney getting damn near decapitated by Naoya Inoue, and that was bad. So luckily for him, he's not facing a guy like Naoya Inoue this weekend, and his brother's fighting this weekend too. I feel like that's pretty dope. They're both fighting under Kambosos and Haney, and shout out them. Hopefully they can do their thing. But yeah, just thought they would be worth mentioning, even though they're not like that, but they're almost like that. It's weird, but yeah, peep them this weekend too.
Yeah, it should be two pretty solid fights to be honest. On the undercard for Haney and Kambosos. But I mean, I am so looking forward to this weekend of boxing. All the main events we have are gonna be epic. this is going to be an epic women's card that we have. I've been waiting for this Shields, Marshall, and Baumgartner Mayer fight for so long now. It sucks that it got pushed back, but it's just made the anticipation of it even better. But I'm really looking forward to boxing this weekend, and I can't wait to talk about these fights next week and recap them. And that does it for another episode of the All It Takes No Whiffs podcast. We had another great episode this week talking about some boxing and the epic fights that we have going on this week. And I'm looking forward to some guys coming back in the ring and looking forward to that Claressa Shields versus Savannah Marshall and Baumgartner versus Mayer, because I've been waiting for those fights for so long now. But before we get out of here, make sure y'all like, make sure y'all subscribe, and make sure y'all turn on notifications to know when we post new content. And also, leave a comment down below on who you think is going to be winning these fights this weekend, because it's going to be a good weekend of fighting, and we'd love to see who y'all think is going to win.
Yeah, be sure to leave that comment. Let us know your thoughts. You guys can also let us know your thoughts on any of our social medias. You can find us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at ATNW Podcast. And if you want, you can also find my Instagram and Twitter at Christian_S52.
And you can also find mine at ahandy2215.
But that does it for another episode. After this weekend, you're going to have some champions retaining their crown, or some people, a new chapter in their career, taking the next step. Either way, you'll find us talking about it next week. And until next time, peace.
Peace.